How you doing? And welcome to Neither Real Music. This is Just Play It for the piano. If you've been following along, we're looking at the song Alice in Wonderland and working out a basic arrangement for it. Today we're going to be looking at measures 25 through 32, which is going to bring us through the second ending of the beginning of our song. Similar to how we started the first part of the second ending, we're going to be using this waltz feeling in our left hand, so there's going to be a little bit of moving around, but it should be nothing that if you practiced your first section, should be any problems for you. Before we get started, please remember to subscribe and ring the bell so you know when your next lesson's coming. Let's take a look at measures 25 through 32. So starting on measure 25, we're going to be looking at a D minor chord in our left hand. So we have D, F, and A. And I'm going to put my thumb on D. Now this is going to be a fairly big jump from what you did in the prior measure, going from the E flat chord over to D with your thumb. You're just going to have to get used to it. I wish there was an easier answer for it. There isn't very many easier fingerings for it that would be more effective. So in this case, I'm trying to prepare for what's coming next. So our thumb is going to be on the note D. Now from here, we're going to play our two Ds together. And then our F and our A are going to happen with our other notes. So we're walking up D, E, and F, and our chord is connecting with that. So D, E, F. So now from here, what we're going to do is we're going to play our note E, and we're going to jump up to a G major chord in our left hand. Now, we could call this a G7, we could call it a G6. But in simple terms, it's just a G major chord in our left hand, and in our right hand, we're going to be playing the note E down to the note D on our third beat. So we're going to be playing the note G and E down to the note D on our third beat. So if we put these two measures together, it sounds like this. Okay? So from here, we're going to move our left hand down to an E minor chord, so E, G, B. And in our right, we're going to play our octave E's. And we're going to have to do a bit of a stretch on beat 3, because we're going to use our number 3 finger and skip the note F to play a note G. So, one more time. If you haven't noticed, I'm trying to leave my pinky note down through the whole sequence to act as a bass note that just rings through the whole sequence. So if we play all three measures together, 25, 26, and 27, we have this. Now, here's our big stretch. Our pinky is going to come all the way to the note C. Now, in the position that we are, we're going to play an A minor 7 chord. Now, there's two ways to do it, and I just demonstrated both of them. You can go back to your third finger, to which as we go further along, you might end up with a crossover to get the last note, or you can kind of lock your third finger on G and then do a note skip between your pinky and your third string. But either way, we're doing it with this A7 chord, but what's odd is our waltz has the notes kind of inverted. So we play A, and then we play G and E underneath the A. We did this in the earlier section of the song, so this isn't completely new. So we have, okay? So if we put everything together, 25, 26, 27, 28, we end up with this sound. I prefer to use my fourth finger on that note A. Either way is going to work out just fine. So as we move on to the next section, so we're going to be looking at a return to a D minor chord. But if our third finger's on G, then we're going to land on F in our third beat. If you used your third finger for A here, then it would just be your pointer finger that landed on G and a thumb on F. Okay? So shouldn't be too big of a deal no matter how you go through it. So we have 25, 26, 27, 28, and now we're looking at measure 29. Okay? In measure 30, we're going to continue walking down, and we're going to move to that G major chord again. This little riff, this G major with E going to D, gets used a lot in this song. So it's kind of one of those things that if you look for it, you're going to find it. Okay, so now if you changed your fingering, you would end up with a crossover. If not, your third finger should be the one that's landing on our E. Okay, so let's put all of that together. So from the beginning. Okay. There's our end note. And now we're going to end up with a C major chord in our left hand and a note C here. Now unofficially that's the end of the phrase because this C should be ringing through 6 beats, which connects 2 measures together. But we still need to do something in our left hand to kind of complement it and get us ready for what's going to happen in our B section. So what I've decided to do to get us ready for the next chord, so if we start out with our C major, I moved up to an E minor, and then I'm going to turn my E minor into an A7, all while holding this note C down and not changing it. So we end up with, so our A7 was easy to achieve. We just added A and C sharp to the notes E and G. It was right there, so it was very easy to add to it. So we put it together, we have. And it sets up a really nice unofficial key change. What I mean by unofficial is the next part of the song has chords that tend to be outside of the key a little bit more often than the prior versions of the song. But that little bit of what sounds like a key change kind of sweetens up the sound of the music. It makes it sound more interesting. So now that we have this whole section down, let's hear what this sounds like all put together. 1, 2, 3. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a couple of opportunities to practice along with, just like I always do. So I'm going to give you with a little bit of time and the sheet music first. Then what you're going to do is get it with the Synthesia program so you have drop-down bars to follow. Then what's going to happen is I'm going to put the sheet music and the Synthesia together like I normally do. After you get those 3 opportunities to practice, the next 2 I'm going to be taking away the music that I'm playing so that you could just read the sheet music and try to get better at it. So you'll have it once with just the sheet music and then once with just the Synthesia. So let's take a look at this with some time right now. 1, 2, 3. So now let's check that out with the Synthesia program. 1, 2, 3. Now let's see what the sheet music and the Synthesia program together look like. 1, 2, 3. Now that you've had a couple of opportunities to practice this, let's see if you can do it without me playing along. 1, 2, 3. Now let's try that idea one more time, but with the Synthesia drop-down bars. 1, 2, 3. I really hope lessons like this are helping you become a better player. There's a lot to unpack even in simple songs, because usually the more simplistic a song is, the more freedom you're given to make it sound interesting. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. Compliments are nice, but questions let me know that you're working on this stuff. If you can, please consider going to my Patreon. Even a donation as simple as $1 could help me find more time to create more content to keep the pace up and give you more things to practice. Please remember to subscribe. If you can't join my Patreon, that's fine. And ring the bell so you know when your next lesson's coming. I try to keep posting and keep things on pace as best as possible, but it doesn't always work out. Good luck and good practice.